lawyers and CPAs are good sources of advice for your business. Now, when we first started out, we said, hey, we know a lot of attorneys, a lot of CPAs. They all have small business, clients, right? They can help us.
I remember that well. In fact, everyone who's going into consulting or advising in some capacity always starts with, hey, I'm going to talk to my lawyer and or talk to lots of lawyers and CPAs because they have a lot of clients that I'm sure I could consult with.
Right.
That's what we thought too 13 years ago.
Yeah, and we had this great plan put together in our wisdom to go market to all these folks, and we put together this dog and pony show. Jack and I aren't really PowerPoint guys. We're really kind of more flip chart and whiteboard kind of guys. But we went through the excruciating pain of putting together a PowerPoint presentation. It was pretty good. We're pretty happy with it. And we figured that would be the key to our success here. And as we started talking to all these folks, what happened was our first set of lawyers we talked to. And wouldn't you know it, the next day, got that phone call. Here it is. Here's our first client. Said, wow, we're so smart, high-fiving each other, saying, we're the smartest guys, patting ourselves on the back, right? Well, we did about 30 of those dog and pony shows. Problem was, the only client we got was from that first presentation. And, Jack and I are very critical of ourselves, and we started looking at each other and saying, okay, well, what are we doing wrong here? What are we missing? And what we've learned over the years is that while many CPAs and lawyers and bankers and insurance folks, you name it, feel they do a version of coaching. It's one of those things people feel that, hey, I can be a coach. Anybody can be a coach. It's almost like people listen to the radio, say, I can get in front of a microphone and start talking. How difficult can that be, right? Well, it's the same thing we see with a coaching standpoint. But one of the challenges you have is the kind of advice that the clients we're talking about, those small businesses, those 1 to 25 employees need is some real practical advice. Not advice from folks like CPAs or agents of the government that are there because there are taxation laws that are in place that require them to be there, or all the legal regulations that are out there that you need from a legal standpoint. But somebody is giving true practical advice. And so here's one of the questions, and CPAs are amazed when they hear this, okay? One of the questions we'll ask our new clients, or even people that we meet that own companies, if you didn't have to pay taxes, what would you talk to your CPA about? Now we get what? Blank stares back. They say,
Always blank stares.
They say, what do you mean? Now it gives you a sense of the gap between, and not the GAAP gap that accountants talk about, but the gap in terms of
GAAP.
Right, the generally accepted accounting principles for our listening audience. I know you know, Jack, with your accounting background. But the chasm that exists, how about that's a better word, between what the CPAs feel that they're delivering in terms of advice and what the owner values as advice. That if they didn't have to pay taxes, 99 out of 100 small business owners cannot tell you what they would talk to their CPA about. So that tells us that they aren't giving them good advice or good guidance, Jack.
Well, it really boils down to the fact that it's really not their business. Their business is being, as you just said, an agent of the government. In effect, that's how we look at them. They prepare tax returns. That's the biggest job that they do. They might help on some valuations, things of that nature, but to advise small business owners, 1 to 25, that isn't their business. Most professional advisors like that cannot see that market as being something that's profitable to them for the most part. So to Adam's point again, if it weren't for taxes, the relationship would be very dubious. And we look at well-intentioned people who will, in fact, I was reading an article this morning talking about if you're going to start a small business, there are 3 people that you have to know. You have to know a good lawyer, a good accountant, and a good insurance agent. And after all these years, I still scratch my head. My bald head gets ruts in it every once in a while if I read too many of those articles.